What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, it's your boy Kier, and today I am back doing an interview with Jame Wede, whose film Valentine Crush played at our film festival last month and actually won an award. And I say, without further ado, I say we get right into it. How you doing today, Jamie?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. It's been a busy, hectic time. Everybody thinks that like once the film awards are over, that you're kind of done with your duties and responsibilities. But there's been a lot of like back and forth. There were people that didn't show up or people that left before the awards were handed out. So it's been like fighting tooth and nail trying to get a hold of these people. So I'm like, hey, we got your trophy. What do you want us to do? We can mail it to you. We can meet up. And so it's been kind of a crazy time. How about yourself?
That's just been work. It's like working to try to have money to go to the next festival, and got a few lined up. So we're pretty excited. Really excited winning Best Director. It was my first directing award. I think it was the 11th award Valentine Crush had won, but it's the first for directing. So that was pretty exciting.
That's awesome, dude. I was just getting ready to ask you how many film festivals that your film has played at, but obviously you've won 11. So how many festivals have you played at so far, you think?
Yours was number 27.
Wow.
We've also been nominated for another, I think, 11 or 12 awards also. So between the awards and nominations, I think we're at 23 now.
That's not too bad, man. That's quite a bit. And I traveled to quite a few of them, if I'm not mistaken. How many award shows have you actually traveled to?
I've been to every physical one screening, because some of them are screening series, so there's no awards.
Right.
I missed one in Ohio, and I missed one in I'm gonna say it was Akron, Ohio. Then the other one was in Boise, Idaho. I've only not been to 2.
That's pretty impressive, because
and then a couple of them are online things. So but there's still awards handed out, and like there's other ones that we were nominated for awards, but they only screened the winners. And there was one in Austin, Texas. We were nominated for best soundtrack and best feature. So it was pretty cool to be nominated. But they were only a one-day festival, so they could only show the winners.
Yeah, kind of like ours. Ours was only a one-day festival, but we did try to show all the. But we did have to limit the films that we could show because of that, So it made it a little bit challenging. And I think next year we're gonna try to push towards 2-day festival, see how that goes, and the year after that we're gonna hopefully do a whole, 3-day festival by 2025 is our plan.
That was SacTown Film Buffs was our official California premiere. So that was pretty awesome. It was the second on the West Coast states. So that was
right. You had another one that was up in Oregon, I believe, or
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah.
We have not played Oregon yet. Knock on wood. We are entered in a festival I'm pretty excited about. Hopefully we get in. We should find out about that in the next month or so, within the next, maybe actually the next 2 or 3 weeks. So hopefully we're on the short list.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. How is that? I mean, I know you're like traveling to all these festivals. I mean, how is that? Is that taxing on you? Because I know it's a lot of flights and hotels and things of this nature, and like
right. It's expensive, and when you make an indie film, like I'm learning that if you're trying to get into the business and trying to get your name out there, you need to budget money for film festivals. It's important. It's a fantastic networking, but if you're going to make a film and have a lot of people helping you, and granted, there's a lot of people that got paid when we made this film, so we spent a little money. We made sure we paid most people, but there are some people that chip in and help and do things for free. And if you're not willing to get their name out there and push their work, because it's not just me. Like, yes, I was the executive producer and director, but Leah wrote a fantastic script, and it wouldn't be good for her if I'm not trying to get her movie seen by as many people. We had a special effects woman. This is one of her first features that she did special effects for. Her name's Cassandra Nixon. Like, if I'm not trying to get her name out there and letting people see the work that she's done, I'm not doing her justice, and Kate, I think it was Kate's first feature starring role, and getting her out there and getting her, and Anthony as well, both my leads. This was their first film, I owe it to them for all the work they did to keep pushing this out in festivals. When you're from a small state like this, it takes a while. And now that, I played at SacTown Film Bus, we were talking now, other West Coast film festivals are reaching out to me and wanting to show my film, and it's taken me a year and a half to get to where the big festivals are starting to come around. But financially, it's been very taxing.
Yeah, that
So
was going to be my question, because I talked to a couple other folks at the festival, the ones that traveled in, and asked them, and they were saying, a lot of them were like, we only traveled to one other festival. I think one guy went to Arizona, and someone else went to Florida or something of that nature, but most of them traveled very minimal, and I don't know if it's just because they didn't get into that many festivals or just financially, but it's funny that you say that for the budgeting part, because you wouldn't believe how many people had emailing me saying, "Hey, we blew all of our money on our budget. Is there any way that you can, get our film in there and just show it at no cost?" And then, and I'm like, "Well, are you guys even going to come? If you guys don't have the budget to even submit, are you guys going to come to the festival?" No, we weren't planning on coming. I'm just like, well, what's my motivation to show a film for, someone that, didn't want to submit and then also doesn't want to come to the festival? It's kind of like, well, like, you got to meet me somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
I'm a fair, reasonable guy, but you got to bring something to the table. And I totally get it, but if you're not budgeting for traveling to festivals, well, how do you expect your film to do well? Like, just through osmosis? I don't understand what. So, yeah.
well, and I would like to be done with festivals at this point, but now bigger ones are starting to come around, and it's hard for me after going to a bunch of small ones, saying I don't have money to go to the big ones, but I have to try. I have to find the
Oh,
money.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would try to get into every festival you can. I think that's the best way to do it, because that's the way you're going to get the word out. I mean, obviously, playing in Sacramento it's a small town. It's not a media town, but obviously if you can get into some of the bigger ones in the bigger cities, especially down in like LA or, I think you mentioned San Diego and some of the larger cities, and even San Francisco, that's going to go a long way towards, getting the film some recognitions, and then who knows, maybe a producer sees it and wants to do something with it. So
Right. And the one in LA we're at is the Marina Del Rey. So it's a pretty large festival. Pretty excited.
and when is that one? Are you're traveling that one, or?
I am 90% planning to go. I just need to find out what day that festival is almost a week long, and I don't know if I can take a full week off and travel, especially with North Carolina being in the same month. So I'm trying to go to both. So like the odds are I'm only going to have to be able to go out for a couple of days. So I want to be there for my screening. Hopefully it's closer to the award ceremony and I win an award and I have to get charged to bring an extra bag back to carry an award with me.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a good problem to have. No, for sure.
that'd be the fun thing that I have to pay for airfare for. But
right.
And there's a lot of awards at this con in North Carolina too. So I'm pretty excited. We've done great in cons in the past. We won best feature. Our first best feature was at Motor City Legacy in Detroit.
Like I was gonna say Motor City. I'm thinking Detroit.
I don't know why that stumbled. And we ended up meeting somebody who there. I ended up meeting somebody there who may be directing and co-producing Leah's next script. And let's say she was there as one of their big con guests. So we hit it off and talking. So hopefully that thing happens. It sounds like it's going well. They're hashing out Leah's script and tightening it up a little bit right now. So pretty exciting.
Awesome. When did you finish Valentine Crush? You said, was it during COVID or was it a while back or?
Yeah, so I got the strip from Leah. She wrote it as a radio play or like a podcast kind of play. And I got the script during COVID, right after COVID, right when COVID started shutting down, but nothing really shut down in Sioux Falls. So I actually remember, and it was shortly after my mom passed away. And I remember the exact bar I was sitting in when I read it. I was having a couple day drinks. I had the day off. I work at a restaurant and COVID was extra stressful because I was the to-go manager, and it got a little crazy. So I had a day free. I didn't have to pick my kid up for a while. So I had a couple beers and I finally read her script and I'm like, I've been losing people left and right. It's time to make a movie. I've wanted to do this all my life. I went to film school back in the 90s. It's time. Have enough connections. Like, let's just start to do this, make this process happen. And I liked what I read and talked to Leah, and I told her about some things I'd like to see changed in the script. She wanted some advice on making it into a screenplay. Then I got Jeremy involved, and he went to school in Milwaukee. In fact, Jeremy was a part of Mark Borchart's Coven and helped work on American Movie. And he's out in San Francisco now, and he was working for the San Francisco Film Society for years. And he ended up wanting to be producing as well. And he gave her some more points and notes on even tightening the script more after I initially did it after my notes. And we had a great script, and it was like, let's just shoot this. And like, we're doing nothing. COVID's going on. Right. South Dakota wasn't shut down, so like we could pretty much shoot wherever we wanted. And which benefited us too, because some of our musicians on the soundtrack ended up being in the film because their tours were canceled. So that was pretty exciting.
Well, that's a good way to get them going.
Right. So right. Our Kristen Ford wrote 2 songs. We had the couple videos with our film played with you, and she played Knockout Nancy in the film. And then hip hop artist E-Turn out of Orlando, who she'd been voted best hip hop act in Orlando in 2020 and 2021. She had a whole European tour planned, but there was nothing happening. So I was like, hey, I got a role for the coach. You want to come play the coach? So like, she's now working with the Recording Academy. Last I talked to her, and doing stuff with them. And like, her first screen debut was in Valentine Crush. So, you know, as she blows up, that's going to be cool for both of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's great. So, I mean, I guess, obviously you're doing the festival circuit, and that's going to keep you busy. And, at some point, I'm sure that's going to wind down. But do you have any
Hoping it's winding down now. I got a couple big ones coming up, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Hopefully after Marine Del Rey.
What's next? What's next after the festivals die down? Are you working on some other projects? Do you have other scripts in the works?
I had a script that I was looking at. And I just confirmed with Jeremy that he wants to direct, and I was going to star in a feature. And I didn't email the person back fast enough. Like, if I would have done it, like, I confirmed with him after your awards ceremony. I talked to him on the phone. I waited like 2 weeks to email the script about starting to do the options, and I got optioned 4 days prior. So if I would have emailed him on time, we would have been that would already be in pre-production right now. There's that new script I told you that Leah wrote that is getting handed off to a much bigger director than I am. And I kind of help connect the two, so that, I mean, I feel pretty good. I'll probably get I'm looking like I'm going to get a producing credit and stuff on it as well. I'll be doing a lot of grunt work with securing locations, but we plan to shoot in Minnesota. If everything goes well this winter, to have it in festivals by next year. It gets it's mildly politically charged. So like, having it out during an election year is a really good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. That's when people are paying attention and people will want to see it. So no, that'd be awesome for sure.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Well, yeah, I just appreciate you taking the time and talking with me and discussing your film. And like I said, we really enjoyed it. And I know when you first connected with me and sent it over, it sounded, when you described it, it sounded really good. I said, man, this sounds like a really fun film, about a horror movie about, the roller derby, roller derby girls. And then when we watched it, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we got to have this at the festival for sure. So just hats off to you for making such a great film, and hats off to, everybody that was involved with the script and all the actors and everyone that, had a hand in it. It was really, really enjoyed it, and definitely I think I watched it twice, and then I watched it the third time, partially at the festival as well. So.
Right. You see more things when you watch it too. Like, how creepy that guy is, like, when you start to see him a lot.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. I mean, like, when I watch it back, I mean, he comes across as a little creepy initially, but, I didn't really think a whole lot of it. And then obviously watching it the second time, you can see a lot more foreshadowing of how creepy he was.
Right. It's there. It's just not in your face. We wanted to make a movie that's fun to watch the second time. And we knew that the Derby fans were going to watch it again and again. And we have gotten a lot of attention for the soundtrack, and I'm really proud of the soundtrack I put together as well. I would love to see all those artists getting attention.
Sure.
Bridge City Sinners are obviously pretty big. Susie Moon actually reached out to me when she heard about the project and wanted to know if she could be involved. And we're talking a couple years ago, and now Susie Moon's on the main stage at Punk Rock Bowling this year in Las Vegas. So it's, I got some of these musicians right at the right time, and having a soundtrack with all women artists is still a lot of fun with all those different genres. It's been pretty amazing. Like I have the country artist Dana Jones. She opened for Martina McBride, and I had people messaging me. It's a sold out country concert in South Dakota, saying like, the opening act just talking about the Valentine Crush movie on stage, and it's like, that's pretty cool. It might have been the most intelligent marketing thing I did with the film, is have that soundtrack. And once I finally get time to get all the stickers on them and get them mailed out to the artists, because I basically paid for the music with vinyl. Instead of paying them actual cash, I gave them cost of vinyl so I could order more and get them out there. And so they'll be getting their money back by selling these at shows, which also plugs Valentine Crush, because anyone that listens to that soundtrack is going to want to see that movie. The soundtrack is a beast, and it's
kind of a win-win for both of you.
Yeah, it is. And it's sharing fan bases too, and that's another thing that I talked about. And I'm like, I can't stress this to other indie artists enough. It's great when you have a friend that has a band that's pretty good, but sometimes some of those bands, a lot of their songs sound the same. But when you get a bunch of variety of artists, you get them on a physical soundtrack, and they're taking it around to shows and actually making money off it. I'm not profiting a dime off any of their music. They get to sell the record. I was only allowed to print 500 copies per contract with one of the bands that's on Joe and Jet's label. I had to work with the music executives at Blackheart Records. But when you have 26 bands selling this record around the country, they're gonna look for the movie. But not only that, it's introducing some fans. Like Susie Moon fans are gonna listen to their album and be like, "Wow, who's Venus de Mars?" Like they want to check her out. And, that's gonna be, and that's the point. It's like, hey, let's share each other's fan base. There's gonna be some punk songs that some of E-Turn's hip hop fans are gonna pick the album up because E-Turn's on it, and then before you know it, they're wondering who Fea is.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, the domino effect happens just like that. I mean, that's how people get discovered. That's how everybody's work kind of gets, reaches broader audiences, just from catapulting off of, okay, oh, that sounds good. Or watching the movie and then saying, oh, who was that, that sung that song? And let me check that person out, and vice versa. So no, absolutely. It kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion. So.
And then we paid for Kristen songs by making 2 videos for her. So like some of the original songs we paid for it a different way. But there's 4 original tracks, so that was 4 songs that were written for the movie. There was a hip hop song by an artist out in Maryland near Baltimore called her name's Prowess the Testament. You hear some of her. She gave us 2 songs, but she wrote one for us specifically, and you can hear them both in the movie. But the at the end credits, part of her last verse of her songs on there, and then obviously the title track, and that's by a duo out of St. Louis, Missouri, called Bruiser Queen.
Nice.
So that's where we had our world premiere was in St. Louis. So it's like literally sitting right next to Jason and Morgan and like holding their hands while the movie's playing. Oh my God, it's our world premiere. It's happening.
That's pretty cool, dude.
And here I am in small town. Well, the largest city in South Dakota, but it's small compared to most of the towns we played in.
I've been through it. I've never, stopped, just kind of driving through, heading like towards the East Coast or something. But yeah, definitely, it's definitely parse for what I can tell. So,
and yeah, there's a little lake in my background. It's like right across the street from my house.
I mean, it's a beautiful state. It's just really spread out, and then in terms of, obviously, like you said, like there were no COVID restrictions. Well, that's a lot of it is because it's so, spread out. And
like, I don't know, not to be political, but like people didn't understand that here, why these cities started shutting down. And I'm like, literally, Sioux Falls is almost twice the square miles of San Francisco, just this town. And San Francisco has more people in San Francisco city limits than we have in our whole state.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
people on top of people. Like,
Yeah.
diseases
Yeah.
spread faster.
Yeah. And then
We
a
need,
city like New York City is even worse. You know what I mean? Where
right,
you have like 8 million people in like, a couple square blocks, So
right.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. No, no.
there's a 3 or 4 block radius you can go in New York City and have more people than our whole town. Like,
Right.
it's different. And
Yeah.
I mean, we social distance by nature.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah. I mean, yeah, by proximity. So
I'm at
yeah.
one of the prettiest parks while I've been talking to you, and you've maybe seen what 2 people walk past me on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
beautiful day.
there's not
Like,
very many. So I mean, it's a good and bad, I guess. The way, because I mean, being in California and being in a city that's considered to be a much smaller city than most other places. Oh yeah,
this
it's
is what
beautiful
I'm.
there.
This is what I get to. This is me watching, flipping the camera around. There's my lake. You can hear baseball games in the distance on the other side of the lake.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, Sacramento is considered to be a very small city. I mean, we're the 34th largest city in the U.S., so we're not small, but compared to San Francisco or Oakland or
Right.
San Diego or L.A., I mean, we're they dwarf us as well. So and we're crowded, and I feel crowded here. So it's like I couldn't even imagine living in like one of those other cities full time. So yeah, it's crazy.
Right. And I felt like if through all the traveling, like we get to Sacramento, I'm like, I felt like I was in a smaller town. So that kind of made me feel cool. But you're what, about 800,000 people there?
Yeah, something
700,000?
like that. Yeah, about eight. In the whole county, it's about eight to nine, something like
Yeah, I
that.
wanted
But
to say you're like 3.5 times the size of Sioux Falls.
yeah, but it's
It's
still it's still considered to be a smaller market city. But and I mean but we do have a basketball team, so I guess there's that. So
that's true. And state capital, your state capital.
yeah, it is. Well, it is the state capital, but you ask anybody from LA, and they wouldn't be able to tell you. So.
That
Well,
happens.
Jay Leno used to do those walks in the street where he'd interview people like in LA, and people live there like their whole lives. And then he'd ask them what the capital of California is. They'd say Los Angeles, of course, and like, so,
Right.
it's one of those things where it was like, you don't even know where the capital of the state is. But, those folks have no reason to come up this way, typically, unless they're, wanting to go up to Tahoe or
Oh,
something
it's
like
pretty
that. So,
though. I didn't get to see the drive on the way out there because we flew into San Francisco. We flew in really late at night, but like driving back, it was beautiful.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a lot of greenery here. I mean, they call us city of trees because we have a lot of trees and things of this nature. And it does feel kind of farm-like, once you get it out of the outskirts of the city as well. So, because there are a lot of farms,
right,
so out
right.
here as well. But
We saw several cows. It was like driving them home,
right, right,
except Billy and
yeah,
Pretty. It's
yeah,
really flat.
yeah. I mean, that's why they always have the cowbells at the Kings games, and like they're always like because
Yeah.
it got popularized. It got really popularized back when they were playing the Lakers when Kobe was there, and he had made that comment. He got food poisoning when he was here in town, and he was like, "Man, all those cows you guys have, and I get food poisoning from a steak." So it's like one of those things. So, but yeah, you just never know. So. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and let you get ready to get back to what you're doing, and I got some other things to do. But I definitely appreciate you getting on here. I'll get
Yeah.
this
Thanks for
edited up
doing this.
and
This is
queued up.
awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I
Well,
was able to
a
get you on. I know it's scheduling.
great festival. It's nice to go to a festival where a lot of the filmmakers actually show up and hang out and visit and network.
Yeah,
It's been great.
and that was my idea. I mean, I wanted to have a platform where, I mean, and if it grows bigger, I mean, it'll be harder to do, obviously, but it's small enough and intimate enough that I could have a mixer and we can all get together and have a few drinks and talk and mingle. And same thing at the festival. Everybody could come out and talk and mingle and hang out, and we pretty much shut the place down. I think they closed at like 7 or something like that, but we were all there till well after 9 o'clock, almost 10. Because everybody was just having a good time mingling and talking and taking photos. And so, that's the kind of environment that I thrive in, and that's what I like. And that's just kind of how you know, I'm hoping I'm able to continue to run my festival in that fashion where everybody, it's just a fun place to hang out. You know what I mean? And that's what it should be about, you know? So
Yeah, it's awesome. There's one that was similar, like that's a little bigger. It's been around, like I think it's 20 some years, in Oklahoma in Muskogee, called the Bare Bones Film Festival. If you get a chance to check them out, like
the Bare Bones, yeah, I'll have to
yeah,
definitely.
I feel like you're on the way to becoming something like they are. And that's the other festival that I went to that a lot of filmmakers showed up. And they
Right.
were there.
I remember we had that conversation when you were here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I mean, really, you know, I think moving forward, I'd love to get some folks internationally, you know, that actually showed up because we did show 3 films that were international, but I couldn't get any of the directors to show up, you know, because we were so small. And it was our first year. But I'm hoping as we grow, we're able to pull in more audiences. I mean, more festival goers from abroad. So, because that would be really cool to have, you know, an international thing and have tons of people flying in and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it was great. Well, congratulations on great festival. I will get around to writing a review. I'm behind. I've got to write reviews for like the last 3 or 4 festivals that I've been.
you're fine. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Whenever you get to it, I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining me on the podcast, and I'll try to get this queued up in the next 2 days. And then, like I said, if you know you ever need anything or you know anything, any way I can help, you know, I'm always here. If there's something I can do, let me know. So
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
all right, appreciate it, Jamie. You have a good one.
You too. All right.
All right.
Goodbye.